What's going on YouTube? I'm back again with another video. Today I wanted to do a quick review of the Callisto Protocol from Striking Distance Studios. You could say this game has been pretty divisive within the gaming community. Some people really like it, some people don't care for it at all, and I found that kind of interesting, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about how I feel about it. So in the Callisto Protocol, you play as Jacob Lee, a space pilot smuggler who has crash landed and been taken prisoner on Callisto, one of Jupiter's moons. You're being held in Black Iron Prison and it's up to you to escape. So I'm just going to quickly run through this. We'll start with the easy stuff. The graphics, I think, are a 10 out of 10. The Callisto Protocol is one of the first games that actually looks next gen to me. It looks super crisp, it looks absolutely incredible, and it's definitely one of the best looking games I've seen in a long time. It also runs really smoothly on the PS5 and I have zero complaints in that department. Another standout in this game is the audio. From top to bottom, it's a masterclass in presentation, sample choice, 3D spatial awareness. I think they did a great job in using it to build tension, and they used it to great effect.
Speak. Operate system.
And while we're on that subject, let's talk about the horror aspect for a second. I really didn't find it very scary for whatever reason. They got me on one or two of the jump scares, but that's about it. The scary moments for me were when I was exploring, by playing it slow and taking my time, letting the atmosphere and the audio sink in. The scariest moments came from the anticipation in my own mind. When it's been a while since you've seen an enemy and can hear them crawling all around you in the vents and the ceilings, it can just be unsettling. Another thing I liked about the Callisto Protocol was the DualSense implementation. It helped add that extra sauce to certain environments, like these big industrial fans that you come across. When you get close to them, you can feel the blades cutting through the air, and it's done very well. It also helps to add weight and heft to the combat, which I really like. Now, speaking of combat, the combat in this game has been a divisive issue in the community for sure. The big issue some people are having is with the dodge mechanic. Instead of a dedicated dodge button, you use the left stick to dodge left and right. This can definitely take some getting used to since it's the same stick you're using to walk around with your character. But for me, in my experience, after a little bit of trial and error, I ended up finding my groove and falling in love with the combat. It's a little slow and methodical, but it's punchy and rewarding. It can be a little bit difficult in the beginning, but as you start to level up and acquire more items, it becomes much more manageable. Another aspect of this complaint, I feel like, is that people are having a hard time dealing with multiple enemies at the same time. It's easy to get yourself surrounded and in trouble in this game, but I found that if you just strafe to the left or the right while you're fighting, you're able to dodge those attacks you can't see coming. After some practice, I was able to get right in the thick of things and still hold my own. Now, I thought the enemies in the Callisto Protocol were pretty cool. I like the designs and the style they used. It looks grotesque and scary, and they're everything you would expect in a game like this. I like the enemy progression as well. Just when I would start to feel comfortable, like I was running the show, they would throw a new enemy at me, or they would change the rules, or an enemy would mutate and grow tentacles, and if it grows tentacles, if you shoot it, then it'll die instantly, but if you don't, it'll mutate into a stronger enemy. So adding different aspects like that, I thought they did a good job throughout. Towards the end, it got a little samey with some of the repeating bosses, but overall, I think they did a pretty good job. They also did a really good job with enemy placement, in my opinion. They set pretty clever traps in different ways. Several times I would advance on a group of enemies ready to attack, only to have 5 more unseen enemies pop out just as I'm within arm's reach. They used different tactics to bait and pull me in, and I definitely fell for it several times. So let's talk about the story for a second. I thought it was decent enough. It's not super complicated or mind-bending, but it has its moments and it definitely gets the job done. Not every game has to be a soap opera, and overall I like what they did. It made sense. It kept me interested, and I even enjoyed listening to the audio logs to learn more about the lore. I felt like they were giving me good motivation to keep going, and I was interested the entire time to see what would happen next. It's not a Scorsese film, but honestly, it's more than I was expecting for this type of game. Now, I've been mostly positive so far, so let's get into some of the negatives here. I only had a few gripes really, the main one being the camera. It can definitely get a little wonky on you sometimes when things start to get hectic. I also think the auto aim assist is way too strong. Even when you turn it off, it can be a pain because after a certain point, when the enemies start to grow tentacles, aiming and hitting those tentacles becomes a major part of the gameplay loop. So when you go to aim for the enemy, it automatically will snap to the head, and it has really strong magnetism, and it takes a second to aim down to the chest, and it's hard to, it just makes it harder than it needs to be. So even when you turn the auto aim off, I think it's a little too strong here. Now, to be fair, there are a few settings and upgrades that can alleviate this issue a little bit, but it was an annoyance throughout my playthrough. Another annoying factor for me was not having a quick turn like you have in God of War or Dead Space. I feel like having a 180-degree quick turn would have been a great fit for this game, and it probably would have improved many people's experiences. But overall, I think a lot of the disconnect is coming from the fact they just did things a little bit differently here as far as the dodge mechanic goes, and there is a learning curve. I was able to get through it and adapt to it pretty well and enjoy myself, but that doesn't invalidate everybody else's opinion. They feel how they feel, and they had the experience that they had. So, there's a lot of people saying the same thing, so it's an issue for a lot of people out there. So I think it's just a little different than people are used to, and there's just a little bit of a trick to it. But once you get it down, I really find a lot of fun in this game. So with that being said, let's get into the summary for the Callisto Protocol. As a longtime fan of games like the Chronicles of Riddick and Dead Space, I really enjoyed the Callisto Protocol. It has a few problems, but I had a great time with this one, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's great. I think it's a strong debut from Glenn Schofield and the team over at Striking Distance Studios. It's currently sitting at a 72 on Metacritic, and I think that is a little low. For me, this game lands more in the 82 to 85 range. In my opinion, as long as you take it slow, take the time to adapt to the different style of dodging, I think there's a lot of fun to be had here. It's not Dead Space 4, it's its own thing, and I like that. So thanks for hanging out with me today. I know a lot of people have a lot of different feelings about this game, and I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in. I would love to hear what you think about the game down in the comments. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. And until next time, I'm Gamers Gamut. Have a good one.